Hello everyone and welcome back to the Formula 1 2021 League. It is here. We are on to season number 2. Now, quick update. We're first going to have some new drivers in here that you don't recognize from the first season. Speaking of the first season, if you didn't watch it, please go back and watch it. I'm going to put a spoiler card up here. You can join us back when the spoiler card goes down. So now we are defending our World Championship title. We won the Drivers' Championship and we got second place for the Constructors. So now we're gunning for the Constructors for 1, but we're also trying to defend our World Drivers' Championship title. So it's going to be very, very exciting. Update number 2. So instead of us doing two 25% length races in one night, we're now going to do one 50% race per week. So it should actually make things a little bit easier for us, a little bit faster, but it's going to be a much longer race. So I'm still going to do the usual, show you the highlights of qualification, and I'm going to show you the highlights of the race, but my goal is just try and keep the videos around 20 minutes or less, preferably less. I don't really want to have people watching it for ages and ages, otherwise it's going to be so long. Literally twice the length of the race, so if my longest video last time was 25 minutes, I don't think it's fair to give you, 15 minutes. Some people might watch that, but I personally wouldn't watch it, so we're not going to go for that. Third is something you probably didn't get to see last season too much, are people going on to the hard tires. That's going to be more and more common now, so strategy is going to differ quite a bit, and I'll explain that a bit further down the line as well. But now we're at 50%ers. It's still possible on some tracks to do one pit stop. Some people will go hards to mediums. That's quite common. Other strategies might be going mediums to softs to mediums, or medium soft softs. And in this race for Bahrain, we are going to have both of those options available. It's going to be really exciting. So thank you for joining me on this, and I hope you guys enjoy the qualifying session. Now, on to our medium lap. You do need to remember whatever tire that you do your qualifying time on is the tire you start on. So you can see there's a couple of us testing out the mediums because of that strategy I was talking about earlier. It is possible to start on the mediums and do one pit stop and then finish on the hard tires, because the hard tires will make it a very long time. It is definitely going to be a hard strategy. You need to save tires where possible, but it's definitely doable, and it's arguably the fastest way to go around this track on a 50% race. So I was trying to see if I could do that. Went a little wide on my second push lap, so I decided to abort. And overall, I'm not really happy with my times. I'm going to show the times here as well. You can see me sitting in the garage. So we are definitely going to have to go out for the softs here to try and stay competitive. And that means we are going to go for the strategy of soft, medium, soft. I did a little bit of testing for this, and I know it's good, and it might even be faster than the one stop overall. It just depends on what happens during the race.
30 seconds left in the session.
And now the important one, my soft tire run. You can see me burning a bit of gas there. There's a Ferrari behind me, so I'm also trying to see if they're going. They've obviously slowed down because they want to do one last push. So it is time to go. I've reduced my fuel as much as I can. You can see I'm currently in 7th place. It says soft tire, but that's my medium lap. I don't have a soft lap. It just does that because I'm currently on the soft tire. So now I really need to make good use of these tires. Should be a second faster, a little deep on this apex, and you see I was 2/10 up and immediately lose it, so I'm only just slightly ahead of my medium tires, but look at the grip difference already, back up another 10th. These softs are really, really fast on this track, but the tire deg is super high. 2/10 into the next corner, 2.5 just down that little stretch. Green in the first sector as expected, but not really the speed I want, and I'm missing the apexes a little bit. Could take this apex a little bit better, a little bit smoother on the gas, but we're still 5/10 up. We got 2.5 just in those few corners. Really tough section here, easy to lock up, mount the curb a little bit, not a great exit, but still 7/10 up on my lap, but we have a long way to go. You can see Sinful as Creamy Cocoa ahead of me on the mediums. My goal here is that I get ahead of him on the softs. I really don't want to fall behind, and with this lap time, I don't see how I can. Now 7.5/10, realistically should be up a second. Purple the middle sector, so it's definitely not bad. Have to lift off a little bit though, because I was going to run wide and invalidate, and that would have been much worse. So you can see I'm losing a bit of time when I should have gained at least a 10th there. And finally into the last sector, and I am just barely going to go under a second. Not very happy with that one. My fingers were freezing in the basement, but we managed to go 4th, immediately fall to 5th, as I think it was Moroz who went ahead of us, or someone went ahead of us, so we end up in 5th position for the start of the race. Now, just to clarify my decision to go on the softs, because I could have decided to just stick it out and probably start 7th or 8th or 9th on the mediums. What I was going for was I thought there was going to be 2 medium runners, which I was correct. There was actually 3 in the end. Both Red Bulls going for the medium hard strategy here. So it meant that if I was starting behind them, we were going to be kind of clumped together. And my issue with the strategy is that there's no ability to adapt. You are stuck in that strategy, and if something goes wrong, you're doing a pit stop likely when you do not want to. So that was my deciding factor at the end, at least in this one, other than my medium stint, which can be a little awkward. If there's a safety car really early on, I can switch to hards and maybe try and pull the hards off to a one stop. If there's a safety car in my medium stint, it means I can then switch to hards definitely and still do a 2-stop but finish on hards. And if there's a safety car in my last stint, I'm on soft, so I should be on the fastest tire. We'll see how much this plays off, but you can see now for the first time the 50% race and what this means. So before, if you saw the last one, it would be just 1 stop every single time, but now 2 stops are very common. Game likes to let you end on mediums because it tends to be faster. I like to end on softs because the soft tires are just the fastest tire, and you saw how fast they could be. So I'm kind of just seeing if the hards would be worth it here, trying to decide, but the mediums look okay. It's just that first stint on the softs, you can see the tires are going to get really worn out. Probably a little too much fuel. I could have gone under. I definitely saved quite a bit of fuel, but it doesn't matter. We're going to go for it. On the first race, it's Bahrain. It's 5 red lights. And it's a really good start, Notorious, for us. We are right behind Moroz, and we're going to go right beside him. Battery is on, and we could potentially pull 3rd here into the first corner, but Moroz is covering off the inside. His positioning means that no one else can pass us, though. I'm going to have the inside into the next corner, but he has the faster line, and I'm just going to let him go, and I want to tuck it. Notably, both Red Bulls on the medium strat also gained a lot of positions there, and they're right behind us. This could be extremely bad for us. We do not want the medium runners to get DRS and stick with us. We should theoretically be a 1.25 seconds faster per lap, and if they somehow manage to stay in the DRS, it means that their tire disadvantage becomes a huge advantage later on. And their plan, remember, is to do 1 stop, meaning that the 22 second pit stop that we have to take for our second pit, they are not taking. So during this race, to make sure that they don't beat us, I have to make up 22 seconds of time just based on tire advantage alone. Now you can see here, we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4 train. Sinful behind is already a second, so he's going to be out of DRS if I can maintain this. And our goal is to make these soft tires last as long as possible. You saw how much they were going to degrade and how long I had to make them last. And save a bit of battery. Right now, this is what we call the DRS train. We're not currently in DRS, that won't happen till lap 3. But it means that the people behind first place can save their battery where possible and save on tires and just trying to pull each other along. And this is extremely important. As you can see, I gained about 7/10 just down that straight and turned to Sinful. As Moroz goes a little bit wider, so we're a bit closer than we'd like. But every car here should be pushing, and actually Moroz going for the move, and it gives us the space on Siggy. We're going to look at the move on Moroz as well, but I decided just to take the inside line on Siggy, a new contender during this season, already proving that he's going to be a contender for the rest of the season as well. But we're going to say thank you very much to 3rd as we go wide and almost give 3rd straight back. But as of right now, we're on the podium. We're going to defend the inside line, make sure he doesn't pass and we're going to keep it on the road. This actually got the Red Bulls closer. They're still outside DRS, thankfully, but now we've got back into position. Bit of the starting nerves going off there as people are not taking the right corners, not hitting their apexes, but now we got to push, use a bit of battery, make sure those medium runners do not catch up to us. Now on to the end of lap number 4, start of lap number 5. You can see we're kind of close to Moroz, and I'm thinking in my head, his light's flashing. That's definitely going to be a good sign. I can probably pass him here. I do want to try and gain on Checker. I felt like I was catching up to Moroz pretty well. Moroz going a little deep there, just trying to give space and maybe give me a bit of a run as well. But you can see the gap to Checker is not very much, and I thought I could catch him up here with my limited battery. Checker this whole time, by the way, has been saving battery. We found out after the race, so he is kind of cruising right now, and that's one of the reasons we're catching, but we really want to try and get into his DRS now. You can see the Red Bulls are 5 seconds behind, so we are using our tire advantage. Checker goes a little wide there. He opens the door a little bit. I almost get a clean enough exit to get DRS right now, but it's not quite there. He manages to stay ahead, but we're definitely going to keep the pressure on. And only one lap later, you can see just how powerful DRS can be on this track. Moroz, who was 5/10 behind me, he's going to make the move. No, actually, he's going to slip behind. He kind of tries to pull a dummy, but I just maintain my line and tell him that if he wants to pass me, he's going to have to pass me here. And I get a really poor exit, so I go deep into this corner to try and let him pass. He's giving me space, and we kind of do a little awkward dance of not sure whether we're giving each other enough room, and it loses quite a bit of time to Checker ahead, which is unfortunate for us, but we can at least maintain our position, and that should be good enough. So now on to the end of lap number 8. You can see Moroz has already pit, and Checker and I are now going to do our first pit stop. Moroz pitting 2 laps earlier. He's going to do the undercut. As you can see, my tires are 55 to about 45%. So let me explain quickly what the undercut is for people who do not know. The undercut is where you take your tire, which is, let's say, 55% like my softs, and you go onto a faster tire. So you're going to go slightly earlier on your strategy, but then because you're on a newer tire, you end up a bit faster on your next couple laps, which means, as you can see, Moroz goes steaming past because he is on those fresh mediums, but they're now 2 laps old. So theoretically, his laps are fast because he was on those new mediums, but now, as it gets later on, those mediums are going to fall off faster than mine, so I should gain that time back up towards the end of his stint. But in terms of track position, sometimes that can be all it takes to win a race, is just get the right position and hold out on your defense. So let's see if Moroz can do it. You can see he's also managed to catch up to Checker. Checker losing about 4/10 just on the pit alone. So this is now anyone's race in the top 3. And don't forget, as you can see, we are in 4th, 5th, and 6th. And that is because if you see on the bottom left, there are 2 Red Bulls who are on medium tires already, and they're going to do the 1 pit. So the gap you see now is theoretically the gap I need to make up on my better tires. And now on to the end of lap 15, start of 16. You can see that I'm going to pass Moroz in probably the easiest place to overtake. The point of this overtake is that when it comes to the final pit, I want to be in 2nd place, so I have a chance to go for 1st place against Checker. Now, theoretically, Moroz could pass me back, but right now, this is just where I want to be in position-wise. However, you can see at this point, both Red Bulls of Creamy, who's known as Sinful, and Chills are 14 and 15 seconds behind. Now, if you were paying attention, which I don't expect you to pay this much attention, if you paid attention to the first pit, you'll know that the pit stop is around 22 seconds. So there are 13 laps in this race, and we are planning to make one more stop. They are not. So there's about an 8-second, 7-second gap that we still need to find. However, they're going to be on those hards for the rest of the race. The hards will easily make it, but they're still going to be nowhere near as fast as the soft tires that we're going to switch onto. So, in my opinion, I think if we're going to switch onto the softs at some point, I think we can gain at least a 1.5 seconds per lap. And if it means that I'm about 8 seconds behind on my pit window, which is around lap 21, I should theoretically catch back up to them in about 5 laps, meaning I'll be racing them for 2 to 3 laps. What will be interesting is to see how the 3 of us who are on the same strategy will fare up against the 2 of them who are on their strategy when we all tend to combine. It's going to be a bit of a wild finish. Okay, so on to midway through lap number 20. You can see in 5th place it's Checker. He's already pit for his soft tires. He was trying to cut off the undercut from us. However, we decided to stay out. And unfortunately for him, he got a speeding in the pit lane violation, which is a 5-second penalty. It's usually pretty hard to remove, so that should be probably him out of contention for this race win. And even better for us, we get a safety car, and we are so close to the pits now, meaning that our pit strategy is going to be perfect, because as you can see, there's a delta on your top right, meaning everyone has to go at a slow pace. So those Red Bulls who are just at the top right of the mini-map right now, they are going to be extremely slow. So the effective 22-second pit time is now only going to be about 14-ish seconds. You save quite a bit of time under a safety car pitting, so this is huge for us. Now, whoever comes out ahead on the pit line will determine your position behind the safety car, so I'm really gunning it here. However, you can see that both Red Bulls decide to pit, and I do think this is the right decision, because they need to stop people who are going under the soft, fast tires from just wiping them out of the race with this safety car. As you can see me gun it there, because I see a gray car and I wasn't sure if they were a back marker or not. It turns out it was actually Neighbor, one of the, new driver here. He was a back marker, so it didn't matter. But let's say Neighbor gets ahead of me, I'm just in 2nd place. So now I have gone from 2nd/3rd place position, and I am leading this race with a fresh set of softs, and both Red Bulls are stuck behind a person who is on old hard tires. So now their strategy is completely gone, and this is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. When it comes to the one stop, you are really relying on a clean race and the strategy working perfectly. All going well, you have a really good chance of winning the race. But this strategy, the 2-stop, meant that at any point if there was a safety car, we could adapt our strategy and still be competitive. And not only did we, not only were we able to adapt, we were able to get one that is so favorable, it gives us the lead position of the race. And now, as you saw probably last season, happened so many times, we are restarting this race. Neighbors behind us still, so it means that it's a bit awkward, the runners behind us. I get hit by the limiter, I'm going to drive forward, but the safety car is not in the pit lane, forcing me to slow down again. This happened last season as well, and I wasn't paying attention, so my apologies to the rest of the racers, because they definitely got screwed over way more than I did. And now it looks like 3 or 4 wide going into the first corner. I need to go a little deep, because I do not want to get rear-ended. We saw that happen last year as well.
Did not want to get rear-ended.
But we managed to avoid getting rear-ended in turn 1, so no issues there. Our lead remains intact, but now it's go, go, go time. We need to get well above 1 second. You can see I already have a pretty good gap just because of that restart, but I'm going to put my battery into everything. DRS will not be activated for the first 2 laps after a safety car, so I have this amount of time to make sure that Morose does not catch up to me, and I'm burning battery. Surprisingly, I still green sectored the first sector there, and I'm going to give a bit more of a discussion on these videos as well. I'm going to give a bit more descriptors in the early races. So green means that I beat my personal best lap time in sector 1. Purple is the best lap time in that sector overall amongst all the drivers, and red means you did not improve. So as you see, I purple sector 2. So why am I so surprised at a green sector 1? Well, that restart was really, really poor, and I had to do like a little stutter step. So basically the game is telling me these tires are so good. Even with that happening, I was still able to do better than all my lap times in which I was actually driving during this part of the track. And as you can see, I actually get fastest lap as well. So this is really, really huge for us. And that 1.5 second gap is good, but I want to keep improving on it. So now it is still time to go and make up even more ground 1.3 seconds. The battery's gonna go on. This is essentially gonna be a qualifying lap because we have virtually brand new tires and mostly a full battery in terms of how much battery you can use in one lap. You can see my apexes are a little bit better on this lap. Hands are a little bit warmer, managed to warm them up along with the tires during the safety car. So I'm actually driving very, very good right now. So purple sector 1, this is good. 36% battery, really enjoying that. 1.5 seconds. Moroz is also pushing. He knows that he needs to get into DRS, and most importantly, he needs to make sure Checker is outside of his DRS. Now, Checker already has 8 seconds of penalty, so he's probably almost definitely not going to be a contender for the win today, but he can still cause problems for Moroz, so he does need to push as we go to the end of the second sector. And you can see it's purple again, meaning in the first 2 sectors we were the fastest on the track, and we are still pushing hard. 15% left in the tank, and we're going to use all of it. Any amount of gap we can produce. It means that if Moroz manages to gain a 10th on the last 5 laps on each lap, we will still keep him out of DRS, and that's purple in all 3 sectors to get fastest lap. And now for one last time on lap 29, you can see there's no noticeable change. Checker got ahead of Moroz, but it won't matter in terms of penalties. It does mean the first race goes to us, goes to Williams. Checker falls down the line, and he ends up in 4th place behind Sinful. So that means Williams in 1st, Alfa Romeo in 2nd, Red Bull in 3rd, Ferrari in 4th, and Red Bull in 5th. Now, unfortunately, our points spreadsheet is not fully updated yet in terms of the new drivers, but I can tell you that obviously we are in 1st place with 21 points, and despite my teammate not being on the track today, the 21 points still gives us a 4-point lead in the Constructors' Championship. So this has been a great start. I almost didn't make this race, and I'm glad I did because it's going to keep us competitive for quite a while. So one other thing I'll just discuss there, again, new video, driver of the day, by the way, no problem. New video, new season for all the newbies out there. If you don't know F1 at all, there are 2 championships to go for. There's the drivers, which is the points you get as a personal driver, and there's the constructors, which is your team championship. So I drive for Williams, my teammate drives for Williams. Our points combined gives us our constructors points. So as of right now, we're in the lead for both, and we're hoping to maintain that moving forward. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I think this is only just about 20 minutes, so considering it's the first 50%er, I think we did all right. So I'll keep the ending pretty short. Thanks again, and I will see you on the next video. Next one's Portugal. See you there.